Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. It is Wednesday night with a surprise guest that will be joining us here in just a moment. Going to get everything set up for it, and glad you guys are here with me tonight. This is something I don't usually do,
All right, here we
at
go.
least
Look at that.
at this caliber. So we're going to be doing this right now. So pardon me real quick while I send the invite. So the way this works is they come into the stream here, and then it will get them into the room here. So that has now just been sent. And let's see here. All right. So while we wait for them, I want to welcome you all. Glad you're here with us tonight. I think you're going to enjoy this broadcast here tonight on a Wednesday night. By the way, as a reminder, I will not be here Friday night for our regular Friday night session here, or Friday Night Live. But I want to also remind you that I got some breaking news here about a YouTube channel that's been shut down. The original Asian guy channel shut down. Interesting. So let me know what your thoughts are about that. And so after this interview is over, we'll talk about that. But I hope everybody is doing well as we continue to monitor things in Iran. Precious metal space, gold and silver are down here as we see the markets open up in Asia. Pre-Asian trading, everything is down. Rhodium got hit pretty hard, $200 down. And silver continues to fall here. It's down $2.57 right now. Well, actually, you know what? This is probably number still frozen from Friday or from the previous trading day. That would be Tuesday's or Wednesday's numbers here. So very good. So we'll see this here. All right, there you go. Thank you, Kelly Gage, for the super chat, $10. Thank you. I normally would do push-ups, but there's a special broadcast here tonight. And now let me bring in our guest here who is in the waiting room, the green room, so to speak, and it is, wait for it, Bald Guy Money. Hello, sir.
I'm ready to explore.
I love it. The great, much better inflection than I have too. That's awesome. Good
to practicing.
All right, you've been practicing. So welcome. This is Bald Guy Money. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar in the space. He does precious metals and financial assessments and analysis and economic analysis, geopolitics. He does it all. Good stuff over there. And by the way, we're both sponsored by Summit Metals, a great company that sponsors both of us. A really fast-growing precious metals company. There, he's got the wallet right there, and good stuff. So check them out. Link is in the description of this very live stream. So, Mr. Bald Guy Money, so tell us a little bit about your background and then how you got into YouTube.
All right. Well, geez, my background. Just so we can establish a few things here, because it's late night, at least for me. Maybe the kids are sleeping where some of the people are watching. Are we allowed to be a little bit liberal with the language we use here on this channel?
We sure are. Yes, sir.
All right, I love it. So I got into YouTube. It was funny. It was kind of an accident. My wife is a YouTuber. My wife has 4 YouTube play buttons.
Wow.
And yeah, and I worked in analysis, and I worked in the same industry for 16 years. People might not know this. I worked in tobacco. I know some people are going to hate me now.
Wow.
But I worked in tobacco for 16 years. And I worked in the Middle East at the end of my career, and I was leading the marketing and strategy team. We were managing 7 countries. And, it was just a bit after COVID, and I was finding that I had a lot of spare time. And my wife said, hey, you're doing a great job managing our personal finances using, your analysis that you do obviously at work, bringing it into the money. You should start a YouTube channel, she said. And she started showing me guys like Graham Stefan, and there was another guy. She showed me Andre Jeek, I think was his name. And I was like, I do not want to be like these guys. I was like, anything, but I don't want to be like these guys, where they're like totally self-help, by my course. Ugh, just, nah, I didn't like it. So I experimented for a while and just started sharing all the stuff that I was doing. But it was funny because I did this one video where I was talking about silver, and I said, basically it was like my whole thing where I was saying the price of silver is going to reach at least $60 by 2026, I said, because we're running into issues with respect to supply, right? And we were starting to see supply deficits already like around 2021. And my whole thing was when I started looking at it, I said, okay, there's enough above ground supply to last a few years, despite the fact that these deficits are happening. And, it was just like barely enough to where we could see the manipulators keep that price down. And I said, we're really going to start to see the upside price action by 2026. So that video became very popular. It was one of my first videos and it got, I think, like 16 or 15,000 views, like very quickly. And that kind of started me down the path of covering a lot of precious metals, even though I didn't want to, because I thought I was going to be this guy who talks about all things. But then I quickly realized on YouTube it's not like that. And people like niche, and YouTube promotes channels that are niche. So I combine now macroeconomics mostly. I talk a lot about metals, obviously. And I've started talking about oil. I started talking about oil at the end of last year, telling people, hey, get into these oil stocks. Why get into the oil stocks? Well, obviously, I own mining stocks, and I know a lot of people own mining stocks out there. Do you own any mining stocks, Al?
I actually don't own any mining stocks. I've actually covered and profiled some, but I think they're pretty interesting, and some of the explorers a little bit of the higher risk ones. But I think it's a good idea to diversify in the precious metal space to get into some good companies. Yeah.
It was back in July 2023, and I was looking at these mining stocks, and I was like, there's like no downside risk on these mining stocks. Like, if there's any downside risk, it's maybe like 5 or 10% from here. They're already so badly beaten down. So I started entering them, and it was about last year, starting in the second half of last year, I started to say, okay, we've gone up a lot. I still think the mining stocks are super undervalued, by the way. If anybody's watching this wondering, oh, is he still bullish on mining stocks? Yeah, absolutely. But I started to worry about where the price of oil would go, looking at how it was kind of getting out of whack with other commodities. And I said, okay, as a way to kind of hedge my position in these mining stocks, I want to start building up a position in the oil stocks, because it's either going to be a full on war in the Middle East or just a bounce back of the business cycle and inflation that's going to send oil back to $100 a barrel and beyond. And I said, with the interest rates coming down like they are, like, I mean, if you go to a bank today and ask them about a money market account or a certificate of deposit, man, they're not offering you anything. So a lot of these oil stocks at the time when I was buying into them were offering like, 4.5% dividends. So I was like, oh, I'm better off sitting in this cash and just, or sitting in these oil stocks and sitting in cash, collecting this 4.5% dividend, and, just wait for oil to get to 100 at some point, right? Like, I got all the time in the world, especially if my mining stocks are ripping. So that was the logic there. And that's why I've started talking a little bit about oil. I'm also obviously good at talking. I don't shut up, so I'll let you. I'll let you
No,
say
I think that's great, and I should be more diversified in that area. I'm sort of, it's there's a lot I don't know about them. I cover some of the explorers, which are a little higher risk, but I've learned a lot about it, and obviously, and I think in oil stocks as well. I mean, I think that is probably a good safe bet, especially if it pays dividends. So kudos to you, but I think also just the fact that your knowledge and your analysis, and because you really, this is what you do. This is you're pretty much a professional at it. So it's great. So
I
so
was. I was a
real
professional.
what's that? Quasi professional.
I said I was a professional. I did it, for 16 years and reached a very high level at the end. But you know, corporate life, it wasn't for me. I'm too opinionated, and I'm. Want to know what the truth is, Sal? In a corporation, it's kind of like Hollywood to a lesser extent, though, where people who are just honest and who want to be themselves, they're not welcome, and there's a ceiling of how high you can go. Now, luckily, my investments were really good where I could, at 38 years old, I was like, all right, I'm cutting and leaving. But I feel for all the people out there watching this who have to struggle in the corporation and put on that mask. I know what it's like. I did it for too long, and then I said enough is enough.
Right, understand. I'm turning mic volume back a bit. They say that I have a hard time hearing you, or I'm louder than you. So hopefully that's a little better. Hopefully, let me know, guys, in the comments if it is or not. But anyways, well, good. Uh, so your analysis in your video that kind of went viral at the very beginning is kind of what you really entered in into your purpose of your channel, where it is still broad, but it's more focused on precious metals. So, were you into silver and gold before?
Yeah, I was stacking all the way back in 2008.
Oh, nice.
You know, and that was like back in the day, I had just kind of started working and I'm just trying to think what year my son was born. Hope my wife doesn't watch this. Yeah, so he was born the year after my first son, who's 17 now. I was getting into it. I started thinking, oh, I've got this family to take care of. I need to do it. So I started really learning. I had already started investing in stocks back in 2006. Back in 2006? No, it was before then, or was it 2005? Can't remember. Anyway, so I was already kind of into stocks, but I started to get interested in the precious metals, especially because of Ben Bernanke. I always say Ben Bernanke inspired me to become a precious metal stacker because when the guy started printing money to infinity, I was like, oh, this paper is, this is fake. And then, of course, there were guys out there like Ron Paul and Peter Schiff who were, just kind of beating the drum. And I started just absorbing all of that information and it became a no brainer. By 2008, I was already stacking precious metals. And are these some of these ones from that time period? Might be. I can't tell. No, this one's for 2019. But yeah, and I just haven't looked back, and I've learned a lot of lessons, through that 2011 blow off top, and then after, if anything, I've just learned to stay consistent.
That's so true. Dollar cost averaging and holding on to your silver with a diamond fist, I like to talk about instead of diamond hands. It's pretty amazing because, yeah, we had a very long period after each bull run of silver that silver's had in 1980 and in 2011. And here we are again. I think when we come on the other side of this, silver's going to do very well.
Oh, absolutely. Look, silver is building this great base around $80 an ounce, right? Could we go below it a little bit? Yeah, sure we could. Um, we could go. I, Again, I said back in the interview the day after January 30th, I was in Germany there with Eric from Summit Metals, and I said, listen, I think, famous last words, I think the metals have just bottomed and will recover. And I still think that today. But, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. I mean, I don't think April is going to be a really great month. Now, I could end up being wrong on this, but, just listen to my logic and tell me what you think. Whether this whole situation with Iran is, going to continue, how long it's going to continue, how much it escalates or whatever, there's no doubt there's going to be at least a period of time in the month of March where we see higher fuel prices. I know I'm seeing higher fuel prices here in Poland. I know a lot of my subscribers and viewers are seeing higher fuel prices in the United States. And the US numbers are the ones, obviously, I think we should be looking at because the entire world is looking at what the Federal Reserve is going to do next. If we see those higher energy costs creep into the CPI and into inflation numbers, remember the Fed looks at these PCE inflation numbers. They're bullshit basically, but the new ones are coming out on Friday and they're going to be completely ignored, by the way, I think, unless they're bad, then the market will react badly anyhow. But everybody's now looking towards April to see what's going to happen in the month of March in these inflation figures. And I think that that these higher fuel prices could push in the measured inflation level via whatever CPI, PCE, whatever you want to use as your preferred gauge, up, and we're going to see more pressure on the Federal Reserve, for example, not to cut rates. We're going to see in that CME FedWatch tool, for those of you who are familiar with it, that kind of show, all right, what are the odds the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates? I think we're going to see those odds come down if the inflation number comes in really badly in April, which is, of course, a headwind temporarily for gold and silver. And a lot of it will really depend on how the economic numbers develop, how we see jobs data develop, consumer sentiment, et cetera. There are a lot of different factors. So don't just look at that one thing. but I think it is going to be still a headwind going into the month of April, and we need to get clear of that into May and then into the summer before we really see metals make a strong rise. Yeah, but I always say prepare for higher prices now because they are on the way.
Yes, because Kevin Warsh is rumored to be uh, someone who's going to probably push to have rates lowered. Obviously, he's got to run it by the board, but I think likely probably if it's not May, maybe the next meeting after. But I also think that inflation, either way I define inflation is now obviously the CPI doesn't, it includes a number of different things as you mentioned, but is the printing of money. The Federal Reserve, the M2 money supply is going up. If you look at the Federal Reserve website, Fred over in St. Louis, they're showing that M2 money supply keep going up, and sooner or later that's going to have an impact, I believe. And so it may be one of those situations where if there's pressure to lower rates for a number of different reasons, and we have inflation continuing to rise, that interjects a whole new problem, and that could cause some metals to spike up dramatically. We'll see how it plays out. Right now, in the overnight pre-Asian trading, silver's down a little bit more here, and it's
See,
interesting. It's fascinating to see because 84, 85.74 down 14 cents, and it's just with especially with the Strait of Hormuz starting to act up again, and oil uh, coming up a little bit here. There's a number of different things that we're looking at that could move the prices. Yeah, oil is up now almost to $90 an ounce right now.
$90 a barrel. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
see
yeah,
that.
$90 a barrel. That's right. Yes,
$90 an ounce, man. You're really trying to rip these guys off.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm so used to
Smooth
speaking
out.
precious metal terms. I have to be careful when I quote copper prices too, because that's by the pound. And but yeah,
Oh man, I mess up stuff like that all the time.
well, very good. Well,
And people
that's
in the comments, of course, are not very forgiving, are they?
oh no, no, they aren't. That's right, exactly. Yeah. Well, I wanted to run something by you. There's some recent news, as I know you and I had some discussions about this. So YouTube has just banned the OG Asian Guy channel. This is supposedly the original one. And I've watched a few of those videos, and they're not quite as parabolic and they're not quite as bad as some of the other Asian guy channels out there. But still, it's very odd the way that that channel was created and how fast it grew and everything. But it just got banned for supposedly no reason. But I know they've stolen content. They've stolen two of my videos. One variation of that channel has, but it's also just a lot of. They have about 85, maybe 90% accurate information. Then they put in 15% AI slop in there, basically. And I just encourage my viewers to just be diligent and to just take it for a grain of salt and do your own research and the like. But I would never, call for YouTube to ban anybody because of an opinion or because of what have you, unless they actually break the terms of service. But what are your thoughts on the Asian guide channels and that? Have you seen that original one?
Yeah, of course. I've seen the news and so on. You know, a lot of people think that we're all cheering for the Asian guy to get banned because he's our competition. But what regular people who watch our videos don't know is that actually having strong competition helps us get more views. I'll give you a great example. I notice that when I post on a Sunday, and then, for example, a channel like Yankee Stacking posts on Sunday, especially when there's the Tim guy in the picture,
Right.
man, I get a lot more views because people click on his video and then my video is recommended. So I'm not, like against any channel. Like I don't really even view them as competition because we're all kind of doing something different. And, people who are going to watch us are going to watch us. People who don't like us are not going to like us. It's just a matter of helping people find us. And the more successful channels there are, the more opportunity there is to be found. And that's the truth. Now, when it comes to this, I guess I had a little bit of concern about, all right, who is this guy, the quality of the information, and then people like, yeah, well, it's a free speech issue, and I'm all about the free speech, right? But my question is, if a channel started tomorrow and said, with an AI avatar and saying, hi, I'm somebody who's close to President Trump, I can't reveal my face, and then was just, sharing some things that were like appearing in the news, but then like adding like some total bullshit in the middle, that could be that could be a bit dangerous. That could be a bit, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying like obviously if I have to make a mistake, I would rather make the mistake on the side of allowing it because it's free speech. So I don't really know why the channel was banned. But to the people who are watching it, I mean, I saw in the comments sometimes, Sal, people saying, "Oh, you're doing great work. God bless you." It's a freaking AI. Like, I
Right,
mean,
right, exactly.
for,
Yeah.
like, are you for real?
Right. Well, and the OG John G or whatever it is, they had a video. It's like, well, who's behind the channel? And they say there are 10 people that do a whole lot of research and everything. Well, if there are 10 people that are doing a whole lot of research and spending all this time to put the stuff together, why can't they pick one of those people to just have the voice like mine out there to talk to us? Why do they have to hide behind AI to do it?
It's bull crap, Sal.
Yeah,
It's bull
yeah,
crap. And I'll tell you what, because you know what? I almost covered it in a video once. And then, people who don't know this, on my Sunday videos, I record those videos on Sunday, on the day they appear. I record them and release them
right.
because I want to have the best information. I want to have the most up-to-date information and I want to deliver a good product. But I almost covered once I made a fake Asian AI guy script and I used Grok to do it, and it was so easy. I was like, Grok, scrape X for the top 10 posts about precious metals, put it in a script for me, present it from the point of view where I'm reading it as I'm like some kind of insider, as it's all like inside secret,
Oh, wow.
great information that other people don't have access to. And it gave me like an incredible script. And I was going to show people how that worked. But then, on one hand, I was like, okay, I don't want to be seen as like a hater. And on the other side, I was like, is this really informative? Like that could help people make decisions about gold and silver. And at the end of the day, I was like, all right, I'm going to scrap
Th-
it.
And then you
But
might give
I mean,
people
it
like
was
me an
very easy
idea.
to replicate.
And then you might give people like me an idea to start scripting my videos. No, no, yeah,
And,
yeah, I
and
wouldn't
and
do.
Grok will scrape X and take other people's work and allow you to present it as your own. That's how it works. Hey, how many people? Because I don't see like how many people are watching live. Do you
We've
see?
got we got 7 people here so far. That's pretty good. No, I'm kidding. No, no, it's
Just the hell, man!
no, it's 194 now. 194. Yeah,
You got me, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not too bad for a kind of. I wanted to kind of. I did mention this yesterday and announced it on my live yesterday. So that we're getting a lot of those viewers back. But yeah, we kind of had narrowed this down. I didn't have a chance to really promote this a whole lot beforehand. I did post it on X, so hopefully we're getting some people coming over from there as well. But yeah, yeah. But that's about my normal
It's a shame,
viewers.
you know how it is, man. When the prices are like kind of stagnant or coming down, there are simply less people interested. It's
Yeah,
when the prices are pumping up that, more people are coming in. They want to know, okay, what comes next? What comes
right,
next?
right.
And I can tell you, as somebody who's been stacking precious metals since 2008, that whether it comes next tomorrow or 1 week from now or 1 year from now, you can count on whatever currency it is you're using to get devalued. The prices that those currencies measure gold and silver in are going to go up. And you just have to be patient, you have to be consistent. And from my point of view, I don't think it should be the only thing you rely on. You should have other things that you're doing. Some people don't like it when I say that. I don't care. But remaining consistent is the name of the game.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. Yep, I've got some. I've been stacking since the '90s, on and off, and I've got some. I have a gold coin that I showed in my videos that I bought from the original dealer, local dealer around here, and it's a Saint God, or it's like $350 for a Saint Gaudens $20 gold piece, and it's like I
So
love to
for
show that.
people, so for people who don't know this, Sal's real name is Salvatore, and he's a pizza maker in the Bronx.
That's
So
right.
when he says around
That's the
here,
pizzeria. I like the bake at the pie.
I thought I was coming on Salivate Metals. I was tricked.
You were tricked, yeah. Well, yes, and what it is here. We're gonna get some little bit of a flair, little Sicilian flair to all this here later on. Hopefully, we'll see
Are there any
if
comments?
if
Is
the
there, are
stars
there
align.
are there any people talk?
Yeah, there's some people
Are there any
talking.
people
In fact, you
talking
know
shit in the
what?
chat?
I have asked some questions. Let's see if any of you have any questions for Bald Guy. Type the word bald in all capital letters and then a colon, and then your question so I can see it, and we'll ask Bald Guy some of your questions here. That's right. And by the way, just so you know, on my normal live streams, every time there's a super chat, I do $1. I do a push up for every dollar donated. And so if you see me just go down and do some, well, you won't see me, but you'll hear me go do some
I was
push
wondering
ups.
why you're so buff, dude.
That's right. That's the reason.
Jacked, man.
We've got metal cracker with 2 slices of pizza here. So I've got my heritage here, but let's
A
see
lot of
here.
pepperoni on that pizza.
That's right. There is a lot of pepperoni there. So we're just waiting to see the other questions. But yeah, so where do you see your, while we're waiting for more questions? Oh, wait, here's one. Bald skull shaver just got, oh, okay, a skull shaver. So Shama got one for, okay. Do you have Carta Poloka? Carta
The hell is
Poloka.
that?
Something in Poland, I guess. Carta Poloka.
Oh, karta polaka, maybe he's saying. No,
Polaka.
I have karta pobytu.
Oh,
So
okay.
if there are any Polish people watching, they might know what karta pobytu is. I speak Polish fluently, even though I'm not Polish. But
You're originally from Canada, right?
I was born in Canada. Yeah, my mother. This is something maybe people don't know about me. My mother is from Italy, and my father is from England.
Oh,
And I was born in Canada, and I live in Poland. So
nice. Have you ever been to the
that's
Germania Mint?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have.
Cool.
And while I was there, they showed me this like little placard that had salivate metals on it. I assumed that you were there.
No, I never went there. It's probably the little coin holder thing. Probably is what it was.
Yeah, it was. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's wooden coin holder thing. All right,
Exactly.
here's a very astute, going really deep with this one from Justin Stoltzfoots. Bald. Why are you bald?
Oh man, that's easy. Genetics.
Yeah, me too. I'm share the same trait. We must be
It,
brothers.
it also explains why I'm not tall.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. Buck Futter. I got to be careful how I say that. Ball, do you believe in Elliott wave analysis? And if so, do you have a favorite analyst on YouTube?
Okay, yeah. All right. I do think that Elliott waves are good for anticipating what can happen over the short term. I do tech my own technical analysis. I'm not like the greatest technical analyst, but I'm not a bad technical analyst. If there's one technical analyst that I look at and I look up to and I admire his work and I respect the most, it's the samurai Gary Wagner. Okay. Now, there are two really well-known technical analysts. Well, there are more than two, but I mean two that come to my mind. There's the Gareth Soloway from the whatever his channel is called, and then there's Gary Wagner. You have to be able to differentiate between Gareth Soloway and Gary Wagner. Gary Wagner is a real pro. He knows precious metals. He understands how the technicals work for them, and he has been frighteningly accurate over the last 2 years. Okay. So
Wow.
if I want to kind of test what I'm thinking and take, look at, critically look at my own technical analysis, I'll listen to what Gary Wagner says. If I want to hear some hyped up bullcrap on YouTube, I'll watch Gareth Soloway. I'll usually watch Gareth Soloway to see the inconsistencies between my analysis and his analysis to get a good idea of why people like Gary are the pros in the space. And I'll give you an example. Back in the summer of 2025, and I was presenting this on my Patreon a few times, you know, Gareth was drawing these lines saying, yes, gold has very strong resistance here. It's not being able to get above it. I think it's coming all the way back. I don't know, to like 2,600 or something like that, right? And I was presenting then on my Patreon. I said, I just don't see it the same way as Gareth Soloway. And I was seeing, of course, I made like this famous video. It's famous for me. It had like 300,000 some odd
Wow.
views where I was like, look for September 2025 to be a big move up for gold and silver. And I was saying, it's looking like it's building this momentum to break out. And of course it happened. And another guy who was really getting that right was Gary Wagner. So, watch Gary Wagner. He works a lot with Kitco. He appears on Kitco.
Okay.
He does videos with the Jeremy Saffron guy, who my wife thinks is handsome because he has a full head of hair.
Right.
So I recommend to watch him. because
Nice.
he's good, even though his background's like some weird Japanese shit. It's like
Okay,
you got to
right.
take him seriously. He's smart.
Cool. All right, Littlefoot Silver Stacker asks, what are your thoughts on 90% silver?
I got a bunch of Franklin $50 here. No, I love it, but don't stack it like in excess. Now it's cheap. Now you can
Right.
you can go a little bit crazy with it. But if it's like more than five, I would keep it at like 5% of my stack. Right now, considering how cheap it is, yeah, maybe you want to push that up to like 10%, but it shouldn't be all you have, you know. And we're seeing why right now, right, Sal? I mean, there are some things that are more liquid than others, and we always
Yes.
have to factor in
Not all
liquidity,
silver is
right?
created equal, especially we're learning that lesson the hard way now in this market. It's crazy. All right, let's see here. Okay, and Snakebite ask, what do? Oh, hold on a second. We have priorities. We got a call here. Let's see. Hello.
Who is it? Is it the
Richard,
president?
man.
Yes. Hello.
Hello, man. It's Nathan.
Nathan. How are you?
Your favorite funding guy?
You're my favorite funding guy. I appreciate you calling.
Of course. Now, like, listen. I already sent you the email, right? I did want to talk some details because last time we were talking, we were chit-chatting a little bit. So
yeah, we love to chit chat here. Did you know
course,
that I own a pizza place in Brooklyn, in the Bronx? That's my side hustle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I make Sicilian pizza with pepperoni, lots of pepperoni. I can't get enough
Sicilian,
pepperoni.
That's the square. Those are the square ones, right? The really thick square ones.
They're hexagonal, like that Germania Mint coin on the Witchcraft series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hexagonal.
Well, I mean, I love pizza, man. Maybe I'll give your place a stop by.
Yeah, we're over there in the Bronx. You just look, it's not too many places there, so you should be able to find it easy enough.
I see. Did you grow up in the Bronx?
I grew up actually about 7,000 miles south of Warsaw, Poland.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so somewhere in the North Africa region. If you take a big piece of yarn, the kind of yarn that the cats, fiddle around, stretch it out 7,000 miles as the yarn stretches, not as the crow flies, but as the yarn stretches. That is how far I live from Warsaw, Poland.
Wow, that's crazy.
Who's there behind you, by the way?
I'm sorry. I mean, there's a lot of people behind me. Is the noise in the background too much?
No, I was going to ask if you don't mind. Can you put me on speakerphone so I can sing them a song?
I don't know about that, sir, because they are important calls with clients. But,
okay. Well, speaking of clients, I have my financial analyst with me here, and he's bald. Do you want to say hello to us?
Do you need business funding?
I call him Bald Guy for short, even though he's bald. Here he is.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Can you hear him?
No, I can't hear him.
All right, hold on.
Oh,
there he is. Now you can hear him.
Hello. Hello.
I think he's okay. Hold on a second here. I gotta do something. It might create some echo, but I have him zoomed in. Go ahead.
Hello, sir. Are you there?
Hello. I'm good.
He wants to give you some financial advice.
You in New York? Yo, are you in New York?
About the Fibonacci curve.
I say 506. You're in New York? Are you in New York? Alagato, are you in New York?
Okay, I don't think that's gonna work. Sorry, my financial analyst. I think apparently only I can hear him. The way the setup is, but you're asking me if I'm in New York, and I'm not in New York right now. I'm actually in Monroe, Louisiana right now.
Oh, which is nice. I mean, I've never been to Louisiana myself, but I've heard it was nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice state. I gotta say. But yes.
Yeah, one of my favorite MMA fighters is from Louisiana, actually.
Oh, okay, nice. Is it McGregor? McGregor?
No, Dustin Poirier, actually. Dustin Poirier is the guy who beat up McGregor.
Oh, he's the guy that beat up McGregor. Okay.
And he's from Louisiana, so you should know about him if he's from your hometown,
That's true. Well, I don't know if he's from Monroe or not. He's probably from Baton Rouge or that other town that's got a French name to it.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Also, did you see the email that I sent over?
Are you from New York? Are you from New York as well?
Yeah, I'm from New York. Yeah.
What part of New York? Are you on the Manhattan Island?
Well, yeah, I'm on Manhattan. Yes.
Okay, very good. Nice.
This guy's, I mean,
So,
he's
yeah,
pretty
all right, so
convincing, Sal. You should
listen,
give
let's
him all
talk
your money.
business right now because we've been chit-chatting a lot. So
Yeah, so well,
obviously,
I'm ready. I've now gotten approval from my financial analyst that I can give you all
Give
my
him all your
money.
money.
what do you mean give you all?
I've gotten approval from my financial analyst, who you can't hear because of the way this is set up. He is advising me. He says you sound very convincing, and then it's okay if I give you all my money to invest for me.
He's in Bangladesh, New Mexico.
Sir, I mean, so we're talking about financing for your business.
Right, that's right. And I want to give you the money to invest for me for the financing of the business. So we're not getting a loan for the business. I trust you with all my money to invest in it, and then we'll get some big returns together, okay?
The login?
I wish I could get the financial advisor because he's giving me some great vibes that this is going to be good.
It's gonna be
Okay,
great.
sir. I mean, well, I'm working in revenue-based financing,
Okay.
so I'm looking to get you guys a loan for your business. If anything else, I can't really do. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Loan and buy gold and silver,
If
man.
you're
Okay.
looking to reinvest.
Okay, well we'll do the gold and silver thing. We'll talk about that. Let's reconvene. Let's have a conversation on next Tuesday at the same exact time. Okay?
Okay, sir, but are you going to move forward with the application?
Yes, but
or
I
no?
can't right now because I got to get back with my financial advisor because it's rude because we can't patch him in. So he's kind of advising me via an earpiece right now, and I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're
Mhm.
He's tapped in. He's tapped in. You know what I mean? So before we tap out, using an MMA term, let's reconvene on Tuesday at the same time, and we'll go through all the details. We'll go in explicit detail. Okay?
Okay, but
All right.
so you're going to get the revenue.
Yeah, I'll get the revenue. We're gonna do business with you. We're gonna do that with you. But let's talk Tuesday. Okay? Next Tuesday.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye bye. All right. So I thought that would work out. See, in order to prevent echo, I have to have bald guy in my headphones.
You told me about this before. Who is this guy? You were waiting for his call.
Yeah. So what happens is every time, except for Sundays when I do my market watches, but we have scammers that call, and I tell them to call at around 6:15 Eastern time, and sometimes I'll get 2 or 3 of them together, and I'll have them talk with each other, and I'll mess with them, and it's just a blast. It's something we do every live stream except for Sundays. But I was hoping.
By the way, if anybody is seeing this and wondering if I knew about this in advance, by the way. So Sal and we had agreed to take this call, but sadly it didn't work. I don't think he heard anything I was saying.
Right, yeah. And I took the headphones off and put the phone in my mic next to the speaker, which could have caused a lot of feedback. So I was like, I didn't want to chance that, so I just kind of pulled it back and decided to end the call. So we failed, but we gave it the old community college try here.
Community college try, I like that one.
All right. Let's see. All right, let's see if we got any other questions. I'm sure I missed some of them that popped through here.
He was calling you from New Delhi, New Mexico.
Yeah, New Delhi, New Mexico. That's right. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Marvin didn't get it. He says, yeah, Marvin, stick with us here. Bald guy was in on it. All right, let's see.
I knew about it.
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Well, very good. So where do you see do you have any new or goals for your channel or what you'd like to change or do different?
You want to know what is funny? I was asking myself, I was kind of having, I wouldn't call it a crisis, but I was, I worked obviously in marketing and strategy for a long time. So I understand, how to manage a brand and stuff. And, people might think it's goofy, but believe me, it's important. You can very easily ruin a brand. And I was thinking, okay, like my brand is clearly analysis, macro, micro, and a lot of numbers and I think really strong storytelling to make my case of why I think something is going to happen as opposed to it not happening. So there was this period of time where I was having guests on from time to time doing interviews, and I found that people really didn't appreciate those videos as much as they appreciated my independent analysis videos. And I'm talking like even when I had really good guests, like people who pull a lot of views and people who are really admired and people I admire. So, I'm basically going to cut out most of the interviews, and I might only do one from time to time if, for example, like I'm going on vacation and it's a bit easier for me to manage, and I hope people would understand that. From time to time I'll do it, but it's not something that's going to happen very often on my channel, and it's going to be all basically my analysis driven moving forward still. Yeah, and that's it. And I think, basically what I'm monitoring now, and I want the people out there watching to monitor, is the consolidation phase that we're in right now. We're in this like really wide range right now. Silver's trading between 71 and like $92 an ounce. That's the trading range, right? That's a $21 trading range. Silver, when I started stacking silver, wasn't even close to $21 an ounce. And now the swings are that big. And, if I pull up the price action and I look at silver and it's like plus or minus 3% on the day, I'm like, that's stable. That's unchanged. And for gold, if it's like 1.5% and somewhere in that range, that's for me like seeing stable, unchanged prices. So a lot's changed, but we should be patient and expecting the next leg up in this bull market, because metals never top until after interest rates bottom out. And here, people can say, well, the market determines interest rates, and talk about the 10-year yield and all this stuff. Let's keep it simple, folks. Once the Federal Reserve target rate bottoms out, then we see a top for metals made after that. Now we know they're going lower in the short term, and as well as the medium term. We know this target rate by the Federal Reserve is going lower. So again, we haven't topped out yet. Silver had that 45-year resistance at $50 an ounce. You don't break, Sal, 45-year resistance and top and make a blow off top within 3 months. Okay, that kind of top, if in a fast moving market, can happen maybe in 18 months, but not in 3 months.
Right.
So this is kind of a boring period, but we have to just trust the plan, as they say.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I've predicted that we could touch. It may not stay there, but I'm predicted we may touch $50 again sometime this year. I think that's possible. It may not be there for long, and I always say that given how long I've been stacking and what many of my viewers have seen over the last decade or two, if the bottom is $50 for silver, that's good. If you've been stacking a long time, there you go. There's an eagle there. He's got.
Got some toning on there. That's why I'm
Yeah.
sharing it. It's like at the top of the stack, so it just keeps getting
Yeah.
nastier each
I like
passing
that.
day.
Well, here's a question for you. And then given that you're much more astute on the analysis than I am, I like to, talk about what other folks say. I have my opinions, but it's not based off of any real true analysis. I mean, like hardcore analysis. I do very basic analysis, macro analysis, and fundamentals. But I tend to be a little bit more uh, even keeled in my analysis to try to be as realistic as possible. But is asking here, Bozo laughing. Do you get flack from the silver to the moon folks and other people that, when you give your analysis, you have a lot more realism probably, and some people say, well, it's going to go to $200-300 in 6 months. Mark my words. Do you get flack from those
Yeah,
folks?
I definitely do. And I started getting it in that video all the way back in 2021 when I said, I expect silver to reach the $60 level by 2026. Now, I never said that was the ceiling and it couldn't go beyond that, but I was basically laying out the case for this supply and demand situation where after 5 years, by 2026, the rubber would meet the road, where the physical market would start to dictate what happens in the pricing for silver a lot more than it was at the time, because the paper market obviously was dictating it with major price slams and keeping things quite low. But yeah, I got a lot of flack even back then, Sal, and I'm actually talking to I was exchanging messages with, I think it was Michael Oliver on X. It was his official account, but I don't know if he's messaging. But I'm probably going to have a call with Michael Oliver sometime soon, and have a friendly debate. Now, listen, before I tell this, I just want to say Michael Oliver and I agree on a lot more things than we disagree on. In fact, we agree on the most important thing, and that is own gold, own silver. They're both going up. So please, I don't want anybody to interpret what I'm about to say as kind of throwing shade at Michael Oliver. It's not. But he said that he thought back in 2021, he said that silver would hit $200 an ounce by 2022 because of the supply and demand imbalance, right? And
Right.
we obviously had a different opinion, and I would see that in the comments a lot, and I'm seeing it still in the comments now. Again, now fast forward the tape five years and saying, no, you're wrong. Michael Oliver says it's going to be $500 in the summer. Okay, well, I hope Mr. Oliver is right, because I own a lot of silver and I own a lot of silver mining stocks. I want to see it there. Now, I think it's going higher. Do I think we're going to hit $500 by the summer? I don't think we're going to hit $500 by the summer.
Right.
I think that, we're likely going to enter a range in the fourth quarter of this year between about $150 and $200 an ounce. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. They want to hear the most optimistic scenario possible. And that's why I'm trying to get Michael Oliver to have just a friendly discussion. I don't even really want to call it a debate, but where we kind of talk about these differences. But ultimately, I want to highlight to the audience that we agree on the most important things, which is you need to own these things and that they're going higher. Because from my point of view, and I think this is also driven, Sal, by the fact that I worked in a corporation for 16 years, and I have a certain level of post-traumatic stress from working in the corporation. In that, in a corporation, you are rewarded when you underpromise and overdeliver. You're never ever rewarded for overpromising and underdelivering. And I think that's a really important thing when you're managing your finances, when you're building out your models and saying, okay, how am I going to retire? Right? I've got, for example, 10 years for retirement. I wasted all my time drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, chasing skirts. Now I really have to buckle down and I've got to start saving for retirement. And you can't be factoring in these like really mega optimistic numbers. You need to be factoring in the most conservative, pessimistic numbers to make sure that you get to your target. And if those really optimistic things happen, that's just icing on the cake, right, Sal?
There you go. That's exactly right. And see, the thing is the reason why I don't. In fact, I'm even more. Well, I don't want to say I'm pessimistic because I'm always optimistic about silver in and of itself for what it is. But as far as the price is concerned, I don't think. I think we'd be lucky if it hits the high of $121 again this year. It's just, with everything that's gone on with that little mini bubble we had and it popped back out. But at the same time, the reason why I don't call for the real high prices is, yes, I don't want to give my viewers this unrealistic optimism. And then if I'm wrong, well, I'm wrong, but I'm wrong in the wrong way. I'd rather see it go above my expectations because I don't want to lead anybody astray in my channel about, well, Sal, you said it was going to be $300 an ounce, and I bought all the silver because of what. But of course, if you can tell them until you're blue in the face that I'm not a financial advisor, these are just my opinions. But my opinion is $300 per ounce. I mean, people will still take that because I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, well, you said this and I did this. And it's like, well, you didn't listen to what I've been saying for all along. Do not take my word or anybody else's word for anything. You got to do your own due diligence and research. And, but yeah, and the other reason is because I don't think that see, I believe silver sells itself for what it is as both a monetary metal and as an industrial commodity. It is been has been something of value for thousands of years. And so I just,
That's right.
it sells itself. I'm just presenting that information. I don't need to say it's going to be $300, $400 an ounce. And then people use the mining ratio to try to justify what the price should be. And I tell them they're completely and wholly separate things. They're completely independent of each other. And people still
Exactly.
use it.
It's like using the logic like, all right, there's one bald guy and one Elon Musk. So the ratio of bald guys to Elon Musk's is 1 to 1, so there should be equal value or something
Right,
like that.
right.
It's
You're
like
right.
it's so stupid. It doesn't make
Yes.
any sense at all, guys. You got to use your brains a little bit. And another thing that I really encourage people to do is, obviously buy what you can afford, stack what you can when you can afford it. And another thing I used to take a lot of crap about, Sal, was stacking fractional. Here's a 1 gram
Yeah.
germanium mint bar, actually. Oh, there, I think I've got it like
Yeah.
nicely there on the camera. So I've got obviously the Summit Metals wallet. But I remember directing people to this who were on a budget back, when they were below $100 a piece,
Mm-hmm.
these things. So $100 a piece, if there are 31 grams, let's say, in a troy ounce, unless that was about $3,000 gold. And I was telling people, I was like, listen, if this is what you can afford, stack this on a schedule, because the price is going to appreciate that. Saving up for a full ounce of gold, you're going to fall behind. You're not going to, you might never end up getting that 1 ounce of gold, right? Now, it doesn't mean don't look at the premiums and don't think about it at all. Listen, if you can save up enough money maybe to get a 1/4 ounce, boy, the premiums on those 1/4 ounce gold coins have come down significantly.
They have. That's
At
right.
Summit Metals, sometimes on the Eagles, I see they're around like 5%.
Right.
On those 1/4 ounce coins. You should be getting those. Even if you can afford full ounce, sometimes, just pay the extra, $50, $100, get 4 1/4 ounce coins. Why? Because you may come to a point when gold is $10,000 an ounce that, you don't want to sell a whole ounce all at once. You want to have more flexibility. You don't want to have to deal or be at the mercy of a dealer who's going to be like, yeah, I'll buy it at this price and then I'll, give you change back at this exchange rate, and, kind of get screwed over, right?
That's exactly right. Yep. Especially with gold going up as consistently as it has since 2022. I've changed my tune on that as well because I used to be against the lower fractional gold stuff, especially the gram bars. I've changed my tune 180 degrees there precisely for the reasons you say.
I like when people say I've changed my 360, I've done a 360.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, that's right. You've done a 360. You're back at the beginning.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
very good.
Um,
Well, yeah, actually,
if people are wondering what I'm doing with my hands, I'm kind of a fidgety person, and I keep moving this elastic band from like one side of the desk to the other. I don't even know why.
I
So
have
excuse me, please.
I have the Summit Metals wallet too with the gram bars in it, and I need two more, but they're out of stock right now. So I'm hoping when they get them in stock again, I can get two more of them to fill that thing up. People telling me, "Why don't you fill that up, Sal?" It's like, "Yep, they're out of stock now, but we'll get them in."
I have a 1/200th of an ounce
Oh,
bar.
nice.
Now, all right, this thing I don't recommend to buy this. This thing was stupid expensive. I bought it, just because I liked it. It was from Germanium Mint, kind of like collector
Right.
kind of thing. Educational piece. I also called this like an educational piece because, when I was in Germany at that World Money Fair, Sal, you can see all of these guys are starting to move into this like hyper fractional stuff.
Yes.
Even like the South African Mint, obviously known for their Krugerrands. I have a wallet of, here are 10th of an ounce Krugerrands
Right.
here.
Nice.
They're starting to move now into like 1/20th of an ounce, 1/50th of an ounce Krugerrands. This
Wow.
is a trend because what they're finding is that the larger pieces simply aren't as in demand as they used to be with prices going up, and they're trying to keep keep new people coming in and keep the products affordable, and that's why they're starting to mint the smaller stuff. And I mean, of course, beware of the higher premiums there. This, I think, who knows when this will be break even, but I think it tells a larger story. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. The prices go up, the market changes, and they're pumping it. It looks like we got the International Stacker joining us with their viewers. Thank you, International Stacker. Good to see you. Are you familiar with International Stacker Ball Guy Money?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We exchanged some messages on X. Very nice guy.
He's actually, I think, was going to or going to go to the Germania Mint as well. He travels a lot, so he's been in. I'm sure he's been in Poland before, but yeah, very very
He
cool.
was there recently. He told me that. Yeah,
Okay,
too bad we missed each other.
cool. All right, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so that's what this is, a crustacean nation. They're all popping in here. Thank you, International Stacker. Appreciate you. Yeah. So for those of you just
I'm
joining us,
I'm, I'm watching. I see 389 people here. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that's all coming in from International Stacker's been doing his lives, and they've been really taking off. He's been watching the markets. He's busier than I am on the lives, and I thought I was pretty busy with watching the markets and everything. And he's been coming on and doing great work over there. So yeah, really good
Good for
guy.
him, man. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, he's done really
And
well.
you know, like we said before with the Asian guy, it's like, you know, we're not really in like competition with each other.
Right,
Again, if other channels are doing well, that only increases the probability that someone can watch us and find us if they like us, right?
that's right.
So I love to see, I love to see International Stacker doing well again. He's a very nice guy, sent some very nice messages over to me. So, maybe we'll have to do a live one time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he would love to have you. But yes, well, very good. Well, well, is there anything else you want to share with us that's on your mind with regards to some of your knowledge or what your thoughts are? What are you focused on any particular kind of I know you showed us the gram bars. Are you into gold, silver at this point or
The older I get, the more I'm stacking gold. And it doesn't mean, people are like, oh, does that mean you don't like silver or something like that? I don't, it's not a matter of liking or not liking any of this stuff. I'm not emotionally attached to any of it. Sure, I enjoy, collecting coins. I collect some ancient coins and stuff like that, but I'm not emotionally attached. I'm stacking this stuff um, because of what I think how I'm going to benefit from owning it later, right? And when it comes to just securing my finances, securing myself for old age, I am leaning more into gold these days because obviously, you know, I'm not saying that silver is not going to reach a certain level or that the gold to silver ratio can't reach a very low level, maybe even at that ratio at which it's mined, right? I'm super open-minded to these things, but I do think that we're seeing a higher gold to silver ratio in general because of all of the central bank buying and the importance that gold is going to be playing as a reserve in the international reserve system. I live in Poland. Poland's been buying tons of gold, right?
yeah. I've
And
been
right
covering it on my
now, for
channel. I've
those of
done
you who
several videos on it. It's been amazing.
have you done a video about is Poland selling their gold?
Yep, I did a video about that as well. Tried to set the record straight
I
on that. Yeah, a lot of people were saying, "Oh man, they're selling their gold." No, they're not actually.
I figured you must have. And, when I look at things like what's being done in Poland, and if, for anybody who hasn't seen that video, Poland is not selling their gold.
Right.
They are going to sell it, immediately buy it back. And by the way, this isn't even confirmed because they're kind of backtracking on this right now. The head of the National Bank of
Glapinski.
Poland's
Glapinski is his name.
backtrack it.
Yeah.
Glapinski has backtracked on it recently. But in essence, the idea was to sell the gold, buy it back immediately, creating like a profit on the account of the National Bank of Poland that they could transfer to the national government to use to purchase weapons. Now, this isn't an original Polish idea. The Russians have been doing something similar to this
Yep.
already. So,
Italy has done it. I think it's a quasi revaluation. By the way, I want to thank America First for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that, sir. He says I have a bigger issue with separation anxiety, losing my silver than my dog. There you go. That's a hardcore dedicated stacker there. Anyways, go ahead.
no, I love my dog. I had a, ru- I have miniature schnauzers. I know
Ooh,
some people are gonna think that's kind of questionable, but I really like the breed. And I had one in Dubai. I remember he died. It was. Oh man, I would give all my silver up to have him back. Um, but what was I saying? Oh yes, about the gold playing the important part in the reserves. So, I think that we're going to see little kind of creative accounting moves like that become more of the norm moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised if the United States did something like that, which, if anybody's ever wondering, America first, I'm always cheering for the United States. I'm always cheering for the West. Doesn't mean I like everything that's going on all the time,
right.
but but I'm a fan, and I respect people like George Washington, the founding fathers. I love Dwight Eisenhower. Those are people a guy like me can look up to and aspire to be like, right? And I think that you might see countries like the United States, if they can prove, or maybe they don't even have to, that the gold is there. That's always a lingering question, right? But I think we're going to see more and more countries pull this kind of creative accounting maneuver as gold becomes more important on the balance sheet for these central banks as a reserve asset. So yeah, I'm leaning more into gold for that reason, because again, I also appreciate the stability. Let's go back to January 30th, right? Silver pulls back. It closed the day down about 30%. It was down as much as 40% at
Right.
one
Yep.
moment. Um, Gold was down. It was down, but it was just a fraction of that. Gold
Exactly.
it has remained a lot closer, by the way, to its all-time high today versus where silver is compared to its all-time high. Now, again, it's going to recover, but if I'm somebody who's like retirement focused, and that's really like the main message I'm trying to get through on my channel is like, guys, think about retirement, because not enough people are thinking about retirement. Not enough people have enough money saved. It's not only in the United States, it's all around the world. And you need to kind of start preparing yourself with something. And when I think about retiring, if I want to rely on gold or silver, yes, I want to have both metals, but as I get older, Sal, I'm leaning into the gold a bit more for the reason of, if I wake up one morning and say, okay, I have an expense, I need an operation or something, has happened, I need a bunch of money. I don't want to wake up and be like, oh, silver's down 40%. Oh,
Exactly.
shucks. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
It's a more stable store of value. That's exactly right. David Knight has a good question here. And thank you, David, for the super chat. He says, have you guys heard of the Abra mine in Argentina? And I've not heard
Yeah.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've
Cool.
heard of it. I don't own it, but I couldn't say anything really intelligent about it. I will say this when it comes to my mining strategy, though. I started building my portfolio in the large producers. So you're talking about companies that I've already spoken about on my channel:
Right.
Newmont, Pan American Silver, right? These are like, and there are a few others. I shared the whole portfolio somewhere else where people pay for it, so I didn't want to reveal it to be unfair to them. But I reveal some of the stocks that I own on my YouTube channel. So I start with those big guys. You can even start with the ETFs like the GDX, and that's like the base of your mining portfolio. Then, once they start performing a bit, you can start taking risks. You can branch out a little bit and go into like smaller producers that have potentially more upside to them as the prices of metal go higher, because their profit margins increase faster. So that's kind of been my strategy. I know some people are looking to hit home runs in the exploration space. I don't own any exploration companies and I won't touch them, not because I don't think they can't make money, but I just think that the amount of knowledge and luck involved in picking the good ones is like way too big. And look at what happened with a company like Vizsla. I mean, that was just heartbreaking to see what
Yeah.
happened there. But it shows you the risks sometimes of this game of mining, and why sometimes it's just better to go for companies that are already kind of producing. There's always going to be that jurisdictional risk.
Oh,
Mining
yeah.
doesn't happen in a lot of places that are safe, so that's something you just have to get over and accept.
That's right.
But it's better if you already have an operation that's kind of going and proven itself that it's stable, because you don't, this how long is this gold and silver bull market going to last until we see a pause? Well, 2028, 2030, who knows? But you don't want to miss out on the wealth building opportunities this is going to create. And that's why, it's better to, in my opinion, at least with the majority of your money, get into some of the safer stuff, the guys who are already producing, as opposed to getting into guys. Sorry, my back is itchy. I'm like a weirdo, I know.
I was scratching my
But
back too, actually. You just can't see me doing it.
hey, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
That's right.
But
Yeah, and I look at
but
it this
I don't know.
way. You can there's ways to diversify. You get, I think you're exactly right. You put the money that you want to be able to grow it in a safer space, and then anything else you want to speculate with, well, you can kind of you can research some of those other opportunities. And I think the same thing can be said for certain types of silver. There's certain types of silver, like some of the collectible stuff, that has done very well at the very beginning when the hype is up, and then they collapse on and of themselves. And then also like rhodium. I bought an ounce of rhodium when it was $1,100 an ounce, and no, I'm sorry, it was $700 an ounce. I paid $1,100 for it, and then it got up as high as $30,000 an ounce. And everybody's telling me, sell your rhodium, sell your rhodium. And I wouldn't sell because I just wanted an example of rhodium. It was finally cheap enough to get it. But if I would have bought two of them, yeah, I would have sold one. But I still have that rhodium bar to this day. But that was a very speculative thing.
Let me stop you there. And this is the problem that I have sometimes with these adjacent precious metals. And maybe we disagree on it, whatever. It doesn't mean we can't be friends, right?
Right.
But all right, rhodium goes to $30,000. Was there like somebody on the other side who was like, yeah, I want to pay you $30,000 for that?
Well, what I did is because I did a video, I have a whole playlist on rhodium. You can track my journey on the rhodium bar from the time I bought it to the time that it topped out to the time it fell and everything. And I called a couple of dealers, and the spread right now between the bid and ask on rhodium is $1,000. That's the spread. That's where platinum was just a few months ago. Platinum was $1,000, and the spread between the bid and ask on rhodium is $1,000 right now. So they were going to pay me, and was I think at the time it was like $400 spread, and they were going to give me like maybe $300 or $400 under bid price, which still would have been.
So hold on. So they were going to give you 29,600.
No. I think the spread between bid and ask was I think like $400, and they were going to give me $300 back of that. So yeah, so between 9,300, yeah, 29,300 somewhere thereabouts. So still would have been good. But there's only two places. There's two places would buy it from me.
People ask me about platinum all the time. And I always say, yeah, look, platinum is cool and great when it's going up and, there's this excitement around it. But, if you want to cash out and platinum's on tough times and nobody's showing up at the coin store and asking about platinum,
yep,
you're going to have a really tough time selling it. It's not going to be that great.
That's
you're not
right.
going to really get a great price for it. And I said years ago, and I stand by what I said today, I said, look, silver is going to do just well enough. It's going to beat platinum, by the way, in its performance. It's going to go up faster than platinum, and it's a lot more liquid than platinum. So with your speculative money, I say just focus on silver, because the ramps onto it and off to it are a lot more accessible and easier than they are for something like platinum. And then the problem that a lot of people get into, and the way they just think so incorrectly, in my opinion, is they say, well, platinum went from $1,000 to $2,000, so you're a jackass, something like that, right? And it's like, okay, that's 100% increase. How much has silver gone up over the same time? It's gone up by 180 or 200%, right? So number one, people don't really understand the concept of the fastest horse in the race. It's like, you don't need to own everything. I don't need to own every single mining stock to get rich from mining stocks. All I have to do is own like 5 really good ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I'm a platinum bull, but at the same time, every time I talk about platinum, I'd say it's my opinion, and I understand there's a liquidity issue with it, and you have to keep that in mind, and you're far less likely to get spot price for it anywhere near it, depending on who wants to buy it from you. My very first ounce of platinum that I ever bought, the dealer wanted to pay me over spot for it, like 6-7 months after I bought it. He was going to pay me over spot for it. That was an unusual circumstance. And so, yes, I refer to all other metals other than silver and gold as fringe precious metals. Even though I have them and I enjoy them, I understand completely what you're talking about and agree with that completely, that there is a liquidity issue. You've got to be more creative. You have to understand that if you can sell it at all, you may not get get what you're thinking. you would get for it. On the other hand, this is where I may softly disagree with you, bald guy, is that even though platinum and palladium have been kind of coattailing silver and gold in this bull run, there have been times where platinum has outperformed everything else. In fact, there was a time when platinum was trading far above gold price because it's about 15 times more rare, even though rarity should not distinguish the value at all. But still, for a long part of history, it was trading higher. This is why we have things like the platinum card, and you enter in the bronze, a plan, then you go to the silver plan, the gold plan, and then the platinum plan, right? And so there's a reason for that. That's the tier always goes up to platinum, but notwithstanding, liquidity is an issue. And so you're so right about that. And you have to understand the risk whenever you do buy those. And of course, understanding what you just said too about this current bull run we're in, silver has far outperformed platinum. So you're exactly right there.
And I think it will continue to. But I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. I remember back in 2008, I want to say it was, when the South African platinum mines had a big strike, and boy, platinum went through the roof. It
Yes.
was above $2,000
Yep.
an ounce then.
That's
But
right.
the whole thing is, like, if you're doing speculative stuff like that and you're looking for off ramps and you just want a capital gain, it's much easier to trade a contract for difference, some kind of paper form of it than actually buying the physical. For me, owning physical metal, gold and silver, all I own, is about the fact that there is always this risk in the financial system that you only have to be wrong about one time in your life to be completely exposed to the consequences of it. And if your fiat currency collapses, or it doesn't even have to entirely collapse, just has to run into problems. And I always use the example of Turkey in my videos. Turkey, a country where I used to do business a lot in Turkey. I've been to Turkey many times. I still go there on vacation. I never actually bought the hair or the teeth. You know, Another thing, apart from being bald, I also get roasted often for having pretty crooked teeth. So, listen, I'm just true to myself. I accept myself the way God made me. But I go to Turkey a lot. Never did my hair, never did my teeth. But I've seen how a country that has a lot of industry, that has also has tourism, by the way, a lot of tourism. But they have factories. They make a lot of stuff in Turkey. People might not know it.
Right.
They have a lot of well-educated people, very intelligent people, and the currency has gone to crap because of very bad management. And I just want to say, it wiped out people's entire life savings. And we're talking about retired people who were saving in cash. And this is why you only have to be wrong on the safety of your fiat currency once to pay the price. And, just own gold and silver. It doesn't have to be everything that you have, but, at least a part of what you have in gold and silver. Because when that happens, and if it can happen in a country like Turkey, in my opinion, it can happen in any country, you will be safe and you will be better off for it. You will be richer than the people around you.
I've done a video about how the Turkish people have a revolving door of near collapse currencies. And so they have gone to buying the most popular gold, the most numerous amount of gold coins ever minted by a sovereign mint is the Turkish bullion coin. Selling within their own country because people buy those things up and they put them underneath their mattresses because they know they don't have any trust in the currency there. It's a revolving
Of
door
course.
over there. And but and that's the case with many Middle Eastern and Eastern countries have much more faith in gold than they do their fiat currencies. So yeah, well said.
I used to
Totally
go to
agree.
Lebanon on business from time to time. I've been to
Nice.
Lebanon a few times, and I saw the same thing there. The thing is, Sal, and this is another thing I've talked about on my channel before, is, yeah, of course, it can happen to the US dollar. I've just said it. And I think the US dollar is going to lose a lot of value in the next 2 years relative to other foreign currencies. But, the US dollar isn't dead yet, because in Lebanon, they're using the US dollar really as their primary currency, where, really only small transactions are settled in the Lebanese pound. So, people, this is how it works in Lebanon. People save in gold, they operate in US dollars, and they have like small transactions in Lebanese pounds. That's
Wow.
that's what their reality looks like. And
And I think you'll find that
Lebanon,
I think you'll find that other nations do a lot of the same thing.
yeah, and people really don't know what Lebanon looked like in the 80s and 90s. It wasn't as messed up as it
Right.
is now. When they had their civil war, that really screwed a lot of stuff up. But they used to call Lebanon the Switzerland of the Middle East.
Yep, that's right. Used to be very nice.
So
In fact,
yeah,
Iran used to be very cosmopolitan as well. Tehran used to be a very cosmopolitan city. Now, to get back on real quickly here, America First wants to know if you think him holding 10 ounces of platinum is a bad idea, in your opinion, and he wants to know if you think that's a bad idea for him holding 10 ounces of platinum.
all right. So first thing, before I answer his question, absolutely America first. I think whatever country you live in should always be first. I don't get very political, but I love the name. So let me
Yeah,
say
I do
that.
too. I like that name
And
too.
America first, I don't know your situation. I don't know. Maybe you have 1,000 ounces of gold, and I say, oh no, don't hold the 10 ounces. But you're fine holding it. I don't know what your situation is. I would say if that position of platinum is more than like 10 or 15% of your entire precious metals holding, maybe think about scaling back. But again, I don't know you. I don't know what your situation is. So it's very difficult for me to give a one size fits all. Imagine Elon Musk asking me, hey, should I own 15 ounces of platinum? For him, it would be, it's of no consequence. He can buy it and forget about it. He could buy 5,000 ounces of platinum and forget about it. So you just got to think about it in terms of your total holdings, right? I wouldn't make it too much of what I own is
That's
all I'm
right.
saying.
Yep, be diversified. Exactly. Good advice. Well, very good. All right. Well, Bald Guy, I want to thank you so much. This has been fun. I really appreciate you coming on. And if and JM Unleashed, one of our moderators here, great guy, he has been very kind and posted a link to Bald Guy's channel here at the top of the chat. Make sure you subscribe to him. Really great analysis that he does. So much smarter than I am. We each have our own personalities and the like, and our approach. And so check out Ball Guy Money. Great guy, definitely.
Thanks,
All
man.
right.
Listen, we do different things. I don't think it's fair to say, who's this and who's that. At the end of the day, we fill different needs, I think, in the market, and I love what you do, Sal. And thanks. This is the first time I've ever done a live video, so
Oh
I,
wow.
I was a bit I was a bit nervous, but I was happy because I kind of wanted to get it behind me. I wanted to get it done.
Well, I'm honored that you would have pop your live cherry right here on the Salivate Metal live stream. So thank you so much. Unscripted, always unscripted here. So appreciate you so much. All right. Well, and
Cheers,
thank you
man.
all, and
Is
thank
that
you,
it?
America.
Is this the end?
I think so. I'm going to thank America First again. He sent another $10, but unless there's something else you want to say to the folks, and but I encourage them to subscribe to your channel, check them out. Link is in the description
No,
up
no,
there
no.
above.
God bless, and peace on earth. That's all I want to say.
All
God
right,
bless and peace on earth. Peace for everybody.
there you go. All right, thank you, brother. Appreciate you so much. Make sure to subscribe to Bald
Cheers,
Guy
man.
Money, and you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Bald Guy.
Cheers, everyone.